Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Logistics Lager Lounge. I'm pleased to be joined by Martin Wall tonight. So, I don't know if you've got a drink there, Martin, like I have.
I have.
Some people can sit.
Yeah.
So the idea of this is really just to have a chat about the industry, what's going on, a bit about yourself. So, you've worked both for the parcel carriers in your career, Martin, as well as some of the partners in it. If you were sort of giving a summary of the express parcel world, what would be your thoughts?
So obviously it's changed considerably. When I entered the market back in 1992, there were significantly more players in the market. Royal Mail was obviously the dominant player. But over the years, obviously, the companies have ceased to trade or they've merged. And there has been a lot of change. When you sent me the invite for this, I was kind of thinking through some of the changes that have happened over the years. And anybody listening to this who's been in the industry for a while may remember when the poor old customers used to have to write dockets out to send their parcels. Then came along. Then suddenly we had these barcoded labels. Well, what's all this about? And for a period of time, it was barcodes with a physical address which still needed to be inputted by a depot. Now look at us. We're in a position where we've got a QR. You can walk in with a QR code. You can scan it. You can produce your label. You can stick it in a locker. So things have moved on, and the marketplace has grown. You kind of look at the boom in e-commerce, which I think was very much driven by countries like the UK. And supported by that logistics operation, not only the parcel carriers, but also the warehouses, the companies that run the websites and the retailers. Everybody kind of jumped on board and saw the opportunities that this had. And let's face it, we've made a pretty good job of it. When you can order something, I could order something now and pretty much guarantee I'm going to get it tomorrow from a number of different companies, or I go for a slightly cheaper option where I get it in a couple of days. That's not bad, is it?
No, it's amazing. And I was talking to someone today that's piloting an idea of having a label-less parcels, which I don't know how it works, but that will be interesting. And it's going to keep moving on, and nothing's going to stay the same. And as AI develops in both logistics and everything else, it will change the world. So we all sort of fell into logistics. What could we do to make logistics sector seem more attractive to people to join?
I think you're right. The people that I speak to outside the industry don't necessarily see logistics as a route to for a career path. Not actually. I mean, I was in construction, and I by accident I suddenly appeared in parcel line, not having any idea about the parcels industry. That was obviously many years ago. I think probably there's that unknown. I would say that I was thinking about this. If one of the TV channels kind of got hold of one of the parcel carriers and did the fly on the wall documentary, I know there's been a lot of it on the manufacturing side. You've seen programs where they've walked around sites, and I find that really interesting because actually anybody in the logistics sector will tell you, there's mundane stuff, but actually a lot of it is really interesting. If you have the opportunity to go into a parcel hub or a pallet hub or a warehouse and see the complexity of a lot of these operations. When I did hub tours and with the carriers that I've worked with, I kind of failed to remember a customer that didn't walk in and go, "Wow, what an operation!" A very complex solution. Ultimately, you've got to get something that is kind of anything from that size up to. I mean, we haven't got a screen large enough for some of the stuff that's sent out nowadays, and customers expect it. There are lots and lots of opportunities as well in the logistics sector. You don't need to necessarily. I mean, we've been in parcels, in the parcels industry typically, but there are lots and lots of different areas that can take you into.
Yeah, you're right. And You've got the pallet networks, which is developed over the last sort of probably 25, 26 years now, which is its own sort of marketplace. And obviously, like you say, e-commerce and last mile disruptors are, trying to do things. And with that in mind, do you think there'll be continued consolidation of the players, or may we have new disruptors that we don't know of yet?
So I kind of, so you think back, Royal Mail was the dominant player, and the issue with having a dominant player like Royal Mail was that other companies that were trying to enter and grow in the market were, for various different reasons, held back. I wouldn't say that was anything to do with Royal Mail. That was the way things were. They had a dominant position. They weren't going to let go of that. And therefore, other companies struggled for a period of time. Ultimately, you need to make money in this industry. And that's been, I go back to when I first joined Parcel Line many, many moons ago. The rates that I remember seeing when I first joined in the very first week, are exactly the same rates that we have nowadays. And that is 37 years ago, I think it is. I don't want to give my age away, but that's 37 years. So you kind of got a pricing package now that's very similar in many respects to what was being offered. Therefore, logistically, you've got to operate a very efficient system, and that goes across the board. So I think in terms of, I suppose, where I would see the market, I think there will be some further consolidation. I would hope there'll be some new entrants. I think looking at somebody like I've been using Uber for a variety of reasons over the last 6 months, mainly because we were on holiday and kind of it's dead easy to kind of get the act out. Tech was brilliant. That app works exactly how I would want to work it for somebody who's not really necessarily used to it. It's really easy to use. You can call it up. That drives their business. A company like Uber, if they were to get into the parcel market, there's obviously rumours flying around that various people do it. I think they could kind of make a real change. And then you've got others that have got like the locker, the variety of locker solutions out there now. That also the out of home, the Pudo networks. That's also going to drive, I think, potential further growth or a simplification of the delivery, ultimately for Joe Public. Because let's face it, if I've been out today, I've had 3 deliveries today for various different reasons. I was fortunate I was here. But if I'm out, those 3 parcels would have been sitting outside getting wet. Ideally, I'd prefer those to have been left at a local locker box if there was a local locker box near me. And there is, but it's a couple of miles away. And being lazy, I decided to kind of let the deliveries happen. That's
you're absolutely right, and it will continue to change. It's continue going to keep changing, and it's hard to know where it will all end up. But it's really good fun. And during your career, who's been the sort of biggest mentor for you? And you can talk about an individual if you want to, or you can talk about someone, in third party, because, we all get influenced by people, good, bad, and indifferent, don't we?
So there was 2, kind of thinking about who the people I've worked with over the years. And there've been numerous individuals that I kind of think of. I'd worked with an implementation manager, a lady called Tina Allett, who was a godsend. You could kind of give her anything to do and she'd go and sort it out. For me, that was brilliant. And that was working as a team. There was a guy called Roger Gilbert. I don't know whether he's still around. I do hope he is. He's probably a little bit older than all of us. Roger was brilliant because what Roger did is Roger helped manage me at a time when I was trying to learn more about, as it was, the Parcel Force network. And Parcel Force at the time were an interesting business to be involved with. And he gave me that level of extra support that I needed. He also ultimately gave me the ability to go out and do what I did rather than being held back. So I'm business development, and therefore all I want to do is go out and sell to customers, but sell, I think, in the right way, and that's to kind of make sure that you're delivering what you're promising. which is part of the reason why I think I've stayed in the industry for so long. So hopefully over the years, I've kind of stuck to my guns, kind of told people what actually needs to happen and what they need to do and what we need to do, and then made sure it's happening. So Roger would be another one. And then you've got a lady called Karen Morton who, so when I entered the industry, I think there were very few women in senior positions. Karen, she wasn't the first person I worked for that female, but she was a kind of real driving force for me, and again kind of let me do what I needed to do, gave me advice, ticked me off every once in a while, but supported me throughout. There's been lots and lots of other people that I've worked for, in the last couple of years of working in a slightly different sector. The teams that I worked with there were brilliant. I've always wanted to learn more as I went along, and that's always going to be a key. I think anybody joining this industry, whether you're 21 or 51, doesn't matter what your age is, the key is always be willing to learn. Always take the opportunities to find out what other people are doing within the business. So the more you know about the organisation you're working in and the other roles, the better it is for you and for the customers and for the people that you're working with.
No, it's really good and really good. And if you was to, and you've sort of done it a little bit already, but if you was advising someone that was just starting out in the lovely logistics world, and you're sitting down a metaphoric pub like we are here talking about it, what would you tell them maybe to do and also what to avoid?
Okay, so the key is that you need to kind of be involved with the operation. So I was in the parcels market, was the parcel industry. Go out with a delivery driver, work a night shift, do all the things, do all the dirty jobs, okay? Because what you do very quickly is you find out what really happens. You can get told, the depot, the operations, brilliant, does this, that, and the other. What you find out very quickly is you find out how it actually operates. What that helps you to do is influence. So from my perspective, I'm dealing with the customers. That helps me influence what the customer is going to do, how they're going to present the parcels, how the items are going to be collected, how we're going to label them, how we're going to support them from a customer service point of view. So very much kind of rather than just do your job and do nothing else, my advice is always to, put yourself out there, kind of make yourself available, understand other people are under pressure, okay? Other people have other roles. You, as I would do, I'd come into a depot, nicest one, I'm sure anybody who does watch this that used to work with me at a depot level or a hub level will say that I'd come in and go, right, I want a collection and I want it at this time. And they're thinking, that can't do that. I've got no vehicles in that area. So what you have to do is you then have to do a little bit of negotiation, a bit of, a discussion so that you're supporting them, but also trying to ensure that ultimately for me, I was getting the customer on board. And that's about understanding where they were coming from. I dealt with a lot of operations teams that had fixed budgets. So you come to them with a big opportunity and be going, I don't have a budget to cover this. And you think, what budget? Well, you've got. I've got to get this business in. What you do is you then work with them to support them, and inevitably that's what we managed to do. Because you would have the conversations in the background with other contacts that you had and support them rather than just do it.
Yeah, fantastic, and I really appreciate it. And what skills, sort of come towards the end now. So, what skills do you think are key to be successful, either in the industry or working with the industry? Because there's the logistics companies do what they do, and the customers, the logistics industry need the customers, and the customers need the logistics industry. It'd be great if everyone could understand what each other does better and better, like you described, because then they'll understand what is possible at the price point, because everyone's got a price point, whether you're buying a pint of beer or a house, everyone's got a price point, but you need to feel like you're getting value for money or return on investment. So what sort of, trying to think of my way, what was the best way to help people do it?
So in terms of, you understand any negotiation, you have two parties. one that wants something, one that wants the other. And depending upon who you're dealing with and depending upon the situation you're in, negotiations can go two different ways, can't they? If you've got somebody that's desperate to, as many companies found, they were desperate to ship traffic during COVID. Quite frankly, I'm sure many of our colleagues in the parcels industry, pallet industry, were going, that's the price you've got to pay. I suspect that's probably slightly different now. I think that's, there's probably less volume out there and therefore people are chasing. So what you're doing is trying to build a partnership. You're trying to build a partnership which is long-term. Let's face it, we all know that it's quite expensive for anybody to change. If you've got to change from one supplier to another, unless you're, I would say, a fairly small operator, there is a cost to change. And for a lot of the larger organisations, that cost can be fairly high. And also its reputation. Ultimately, if I was selling a service to a retailer, I've got to remember that service reflects what they're selling. So, if I've told them that they can get a 99.9% delivery for every single parcel, it's unrealistic, because what you're doing is you're going, we need to provide you with a certain level, then we need to give you support in the event that something goes wrong. Realities are that the marketplace at the moment is, in many respects, we've lost customer service, we've lost a lot of direct contact, we've replaced that with AI, with chatbots and that. I think that's an area that probably requires further development, and I'm sure that will happen over the years. I've used a lot of the systems, some very good, some not so good. It's about answering ultimately, if you're a customer buying from a retailer, they want their parcel. And if you look at where we are in general as an industry, okay, and we come out of I think we all know we're in a bit of a recession at the moment, even though it might not be official. You come out of that, you want to be a stronger business, and you want to be set up so that that service offering will drive that business growth. Existing customers are cheaper to ultimately if you can grow that business than it going out and getting new business.
No, well said. So I just want to say thank you, Martin, for joining us on the Logistics Lager Lounge, and thanks for having a pint with us. And I'm sure our viewers and listeners will enjoy it. Thanks very much.
And cheers.